Taemin Kim pulled his cargo ship into Nexus Station's docking bay with practiced ease. The massive space station spun slowly in the darkness between stars, a place where humans and aliens came to trade. His ship Soul's Pride was old but reliable, just like him. At 28, Taemin had seen enough of the galaxy to know when to mind his own business. He checked the cargo manifest one more time. Medical supplies for the outer colonies. Nothing exciting, but it paid the bills. The former Marine had learned that steady work was better than glory. His military days were behind him now. The station's lower market buzzed with activity. Vendors sold everything from rare metals to exotic foods. Taemin walked through the crowded corridors, his boots echoing on the metal floor. Different alien species moved around him, some tall, some short, some with too many arms. He had grown used to it all. Near the medical supply depot, angry voices caught his attention. 4 large aliens surrounded a smaller figure. The big ones were Vorthak, reptilian warriors with thick scales and sharp teeth. They were known for being bullies and fighters. The small figure was different. She had pale, smooth skin that seemed to glow with soft blue light. Her people were unfamiliar to Taemin. "You will pay the tribute," growled the largest Vorthak. His voice was deep and threatening. "All merchants pay." The glowing woman stood straight despite being much smaller. "I am not a merchant. I owe you nothing." "Everyone pays," another Vorthak said. He stepped closer, his claws extended. "Especially pretty ones like you." Taemin stopped walking. His military training told him to assess the situation. 4 against 1. The woman was clearly outnumbered. The Vorthak were each twice his size and much stronger than humans. Smart choice would be to keep walking. The woman stepped back as the Vorthak surrounded her completely. "Please, I just want to pass through peacefully." "Too late for peace," the leader snarled. He reached out to grab her arm. Taemin's body moved before his mind could stop it. Years of training kicked in. He grabbed a metal pipe from a nearby construction area and swung it hard at the leader's head. The Vorthak roared in pain and surprise. "Leave her alone," Taemin said, raising the pipe again. All 4 Vorthak turned to stare at him. The leader touched his bleeding head and hissed, "Foolish human. This is not your concern." "I'm making it my concern." The woman looked at him with wide, bright eyes. Her skin pulsed with faster blue light like a heartbeat. "You should run," she whispered. "They will kill you." "Probably," Taemin agreed. But not easily. The first Vorthak charged. Taemin dodged left and struck the alien's knee with his pipe. Human joints bent differently than Vorthak ones. The warrior stumbled, confused by the unexpected attack angle. The second Vorthak was smarter. He circled around while Taemin was busy. Sharp claws raked across Taemin's back, tearing his jacket and skin. He spun and jabbed the pipe into the alien's soft throat. The third and fourth Vorthak attacked together. Taemin rolled between them, using their size against them. In the narrow market corridor, they got in each other's way. He struck at ankles and knees, targeting weak spots his marine training had taught him. But there were too many of them, and they were too strong. A heavy fist caught Taemin in the ribs. He heard bones crack. Another blow sent him flying into a market stall. Pain exploded through his head. The woman moved then. Blue light flared from her hands, bright enough to hurt the eyes. The Vorthak stepped back, blinking and confused. "Luminari," one of them hissed. "She is Luminari." "We did not know," the leader said quickly. "We thought she was just another traitor." "You know now," the woman said. Her voice carried new authority. "Leave. Do not return to this section of the station." The Vorthak looked at each other, then at Taemin bleeding on the ground. They seemed torn between anger and fear. Finally, the leader nodded. "This is not over, human. We remember faces." They left, muttering threats in their own language. The woman knelt beside Taemin. Her hands glowed with soft light as she touched his injuries. The pain began to fade immediately. "Why did you help me?" she asked. Taemin tried to sit up and winced. Seemed like the right thing to do. "You could have died." "You nearly did die. My people and yours barely know each other." "Doesn't matter what people you are," Taemin said. "Wrong is wrong." She smiled, and her whole face lit up with gentle blue radiance. "What is your name?" "Taemin Kim, captain of the Soul's Pride." "I am Hana, just Hana." Her hands continued to work on his injuries. The broken ribs still hurt, but the bleeding had stopped. "What did you do to them?" "That light? A gift of my people. We can influence certain types of minds, make them see things differently. But it only works if they already have some doubt or fear. They knew what you were. That's why they backed down. Hana nodded. The Luminari are known to most species. Usually that is enough to prevent trouble. Usually? The Vorthak have been growing bolder lately. Someone is paying them to cause problems. Station security arrived then, their boots thundering down the corridor. Hana quickly stood and stepped back into the shadows between market stalls. When the security officers reached them, she was gone. What happened here? The lead officer asked. He was human, which made things easier. 4 Vorthak were hassling a trader, Taman said. I convinced them to leave. The officer looked at the scattered goods and bloodstains. Looks like they convinced you pretty hard, too. You need medical attention. I'll be fine. Your choice. But I'd stay away from the lower levels for a while. Word spreads fast around here. Taman nodded and slowly stood up. His ribs protested, but Hana's healing had helped more than he had expected. As the security team dispersed, he looked around for any sign of the mysterious woman. She was completely gone. He made his way back to his ship, thinking about glowing skin and blue light. The galaxy was full of strange things, but this felt different, important somehow. Later, as he prepared for departure, Taman found a small crystal device on his pilot's chair. It pulsed with the same blue light as Hana's skin. When he touched it, words appeared in the air. Thank you, Taman Kim. Your kindness will not be forgotten. The crystal faded to clear glass, but Taman kept it anyway. Something told him he would see Hana again. 3 weeks after the incident on Nexus Station, Taman was hauling grain to the Kepler colonies when his ship's alarm started screaming. He rushed to the pilot's seat and stared at the sensors in disbelief. A massive alien warship had appeared out of nowhere, blocking his path. The ship was beautiful and terrifying. It looked like it was made of living crystal, with towers and spires that pulsed with familiar blue light. It was easily 10 times the size of any human vessel Taman had ever seen. Unknown human vessel, came a voice over the radio. The words were spoken in perfect English, but with a musical accent. You will prepare to be brought aboard. Do not resist. Taman's hand moved to his weapon controls, then stopped. Even if Soul's Pride had been a warship instead of a cargo hauler, he would have been hopelessly outmatched. This is Captain Kim. What do you want? You are summoned by Queen Nari of the Luminari Empire. You will comply, Luminari. The same people as Hana. Taemin touched the crystal device she had left him, still hanging around his neck. I'll comply, but I want safe passage for my ship. Your vessel will not be harmed. Prepare for transport. A beam of blue light surrounded Soul's Pride. Taemin felt no movement, but the stars outside shifted. When the light faded, his ship was inside a vast hangar bay. Other ships floated nearby, held in place by the same blue energy. Alien figures approached his ship. They were tall and graceful, with the same glowing skin as Hana but more elaborate patterns of light. Their leader was a woman who radiated authority even from a distance. Taemin opened his airlock and stepped out. The aliens had provided a breathing mask, which meant they knew about human biology. That was either very good or very bad. Captain Kim, the leader said, I am Commander Youngmi. Queen Nari wishes to speak with you immediately. About what? That is for the Queen to explain. Follow me. The corridors of the luminary ship were unlike anything Taemin had ever seen. The walls seemed to be grown rather than built, with flowing curves and organic shapes. Everything glowed with soft light that changed color as they walked. They passed other luminari along the way. All of them stopped to stare at Taemin. Some seemed curious, others appeared concerned. A few looked almost angry. They don't see many humans, do they? Taemin asked. Humans and luminari have had little contact, Commander Youngmi replied. Most of my people have never seen one of your kind in person. Lucky me. They reached a massive door covered in patterns that hurt to look at directly. The door opened without any visible mechanism, revealing a throne room that took Taemin's breath away. The chamber was enormous, with a ceiling that seemed to stretch up forever. Pillars of living crystal supported floating platforms where more luminari watched the proceedings. At the far end of the room sat a throne made of what looked like pure light. On the throne was Queen Nari. She was taller than the other luminari, with silver patterns flowing across her skin like liquid metal. Her eyes were completely silver and seemed to see everything at once. Power radiated from her like heat from a fire. Standing beside the throne was Hana. She looked different here, more formal, more distant. Her simple clothes had been replaced by flowing robes that sparkled with tiny lights, but her eyes brightened when she saw Taemin. "Approach," Queen Nari commanded. Her voice filled the entire chamber. Taemin walked forward, his boots echoing on the crystal floor. He stopped at what seemed like a respectful distance and waited. "Taemin Kim of Earth," the Queen said. "You stand before the Luminari Empire because of your actions on Nexus Station. I helped someone who needed help. That's all? That someone was my daughter? Princess Hana, the heir to the Luminari throne." Taemin glanced at Hana, who looked away. "Princess, that explained a few things. You risked your life for her," Queen Nari continued. "In doing so, you created what my people call Veltar, a life bond that cannot be ignored." "I don't understand." An older Luminari stepped forward. His patterns were gold instead of blue. "I am Advisor Minho. Veltar is an ancient law among our people. When someone risks their life to save another, a debt is created that must be repaid." "I don't want payment," Taemin said. "It is not about what you want," Queen Nari said sharply. "It is about honor, about the laws that have governed my people for thousands of years." "Then tell me what you need me to do." The Queen studied him with those silver eyes. "You have 3 choices, human. First, you may accept a reward of gold and crystals worth more than your world's entire yearly income. Take it and return to your life." Taemin nodded. "What's the second choice?" "Join our military as a special advisor. Your knowledge of human tactics could be valuable in the conflicts ahead." "And the third?" "Accept the full Veltar bond. Become a member of this royal house. Live among us as one of us." The throne room fell silent. Taemin could feel hundreds of alien eyes watching him. The weight of their attention was almost crushing. "What if I refuse all 3? He asked. Queen Nari's patterns flared brighter. "That would be a grave insult to our entire species. It would damage relations between our peoples for generations. You're saying I don't really have a choice." "You have choices," Princess Hana spoke for the first time. "But all actions have consequences." Advisor Minho stepped closer. "Captain Kim, there is something else you should know. The attack on Princess Hana was not random. Someone paid the Vorthak to harm her. Why? She was carrying messages for a peace treaty between the Luminari and the Terran Federation. Your government and ours have been negotiating for months." Queen Nari leaned forward on her throne. "Someone wants that treaty to fail. By saving my daughter, you may have saved the peace itself." Taemin ran a hand through his hair. "This is way above my pay grade. The choice is yours," the Queen said. "But know this, if you accept the Veltar bond, you will have enemies. There are those among both our peoples who do not want humans and Luminari to grow closer." Taemin looked around the crystal throne room, at the alien faces watching him. He thought about his simple life hauling cargo between stars. He thought about Hana's smile when he had helped her. "If I accept this bond, what exactly does it mean?" "It means you become family," Princess Hana said softly. "It means you belong here as much as anywhere else. It also means you share in our dangers," Queen Nari added. "And we share in yours." Taemin took a deep breath. "I need time to think." "You have until tomorrow," the Queen declared. "Choose wisely, Taemin Kim. The future of 2 species may depend on your decision." As guards escorted him to guest quarters, Taemin wondered what he had gotten himself into. Through the crystal windows he could see stars that suddenly seemed very far from home. But when he touched the crystal device around his neck, it pulsed with warm blue light. Some choices, he realized, had already been made. Taemin had chosen the Veltar bond. 3 days later, he stood on the surface of Ethros, the Luminari homeworld, wondering if he had made a terrible mistake. The planet was unlike anything he had ever imagined. Cities floated in the air, held up by the same energy that powered Luminari technology. Crystal spires reached toward purple skies connected by bridges of pure light. Everything glowed with soft radiance, beautiful and alien, but beauty could not hide his problems. The Luminari royal court was nothing like military life or cargo hauling. Everything had rules, ceremonies, and proper ways of doing things. Taemin felt like he was walking through a minefield every time he opened his mouth. "No, no, no," said Dong-hyun, his cultural advisor. The older human had lived among the Luminari for 20 years and served as Earth's unofficial ambassador. "You cannot just walk up to a noble and start talking. First, you must wait for them to acknowledge your presence. Then you bow according to their rank. Then you speak the formal greeting." "How am I supposed to remember all that?" Taemin asked. They were in his quarters, a beautiful room with walls that showed views of the floating city outside. "Practice," Dong-hyun said patiently, "and try not to cause any more incidents like yesterday." Yesterday had been embarrassing. Taemin had tried to help a servant carry heavy packages, not realizing that physical labor by a member of the royal house was considered insulting to the working class. The servant had been mortified. Their society has layers within layers, Dong-hyun explained. Everything has meaning. The color of clothes, the way you hold your hands, even which direction you face when speaking. A chime sounded, indicating someone wanted to enter. Princess Hana appeared in the doorway, her formal robes replaced by simpler clothing that still managed to look elegant. "Good morning, Taemin," she said. "Advisor Dong-hyun," both men bowed. Taemin was getting better at it, though he still felt awkward. "The Queen requests your presence at the morning council," Hana told Taemin. "There are matters of security to discuss." "More assassination attempts?" Taemin asked. "Intelligence suggests the Vorthak incident was only the beginning," Hana said. "Lord Commander Hyun-sik will brief you." Taemin had met Lord Commander Hyun-sik twice. Both meetings had been tense. The luminary warrior was Princess Hana's intended betrothed, chosen by political arrangement. He was tall, powerful, and clearly unhappy about a human joining the royal house. They walked through corridors filled with courtiers and officials. Taemin noticed how conversation stopped when he passed. Some luminari seemed curious about him, but others looked openly hostile. "They don't trust me," he said to Hana. "Some don't trust humans in general," she replied. "They think your people are too aggressive, too unpredictable. Are we?" Hana smiled slightly. "Compared to luminari, yes. We value harmony and tradition. Humans seem to prefer action and change." The council chamber was smaller than the throne room, but still impressive. Queen Nari sat at the head of a curved table made of black crystal. Around it sat the most important nobles and advisors in the empire. Lord Commander Hyun-sik stood as they entered. He was even taller than most luminari, with patterns of deep red that marked him as a warrior caste, his silver eyes fixed on Taemin with barely concealed dislike. "Your Majesty," Hyun-sik said formally, "I have completed the investigation into the Nexus Station incident." "Share your findings," Queen Nari commanded. The Vorthak mercenaries were hired through intermediaries. The payment came from an account linked to the Kalesh Syndicate. Murmurs ran around the table. Taemin had heard of the Kalesh, a group of species that oppose both human and luminary expansion into their territory. They wanted to kill Princess Hana? Taemin asked. "Worse," Hyun-sik said. "They wanted to capture her. Intelligence suggests they plan to use her as leverage to stop the peace treaty with your people. But they failed because of me," Taemin said, understanding. "Yes, your interference disrupted their plans." Hyun-sik made it sound like interference was a bad thing. Queen Nari leaned forward. "The Kalesh will try again. They cannot allow our alliance with humanity to succeed." "What do they have against humans?" Taemin asked. An elderly noble with gold patterns answered. "Humans expand quickly. You take worlds, build colonies, change things. Some species find this threatening." "We're not trying to threaten anyone. Intent matters less than perception," the noble replied. "Lord Commander." Hyun-sik activated a holographic display above the table. It showed star maps with various colored zones. "Kalesh territory borders both human and luminary space. An alliance between our peoples would surround them completely. So they want to prevent that alliance," Taemin said. "By any means necessary," Queen Nari confirmed, "including assassination." "Then we protect the princess," Taemin said simply. "We?" Hyun-sik's patterns flared brighter. "You are not a warrior. You have no training in protection duties. I kept her alive once, through luck and primitive fighting techniques. You were nearly killed," Taemin stood up. "But I wasn't killed. And neither was she." The room fell silent. Taemin realized he had just challenged the Lord Commander in front of the entire council. Dong-hyun looked horrified. Hyun-sik stepped closer, his hand moving to his weapon. "You forget yourself, human." "I forget the rules," Taemin agreed. "But I remember results." "Enough," Queen Nari said sharply. Both men stepped back. "Lord Commander, you will coordinate security for my daughter. Taemin, you will assist him." "Your Majesty, I must protest," Hyun-sik said. "This human knows nothing of our ways." "Which may be exactly what we need," the Queen replied. "The Kalesh understand our methods. They will not expect human tactics." After the council dismissed, Princess Hana approached Taemin. "That was not wise," she said quietly. "Probably not," he agreed. "But your Lord Commander needed to hear it." Yunsik is a good man and a skilled warrior. He is also proud, and he doesn't like me. Hana looked away. He sees you as a threat to his position. His position as your betrothed. Among other things, they walked in silence for a while. Finally, Taemin asked, "Do you love him?" "I respect him. I trust him." "Love," she paused. "Love is not always a luxury that royalty can afford. That's a sad way to live. It is the way I was raised." That evening, Taemin stood on a balcony overlooking the floating city. The purple sky was filled with stars he didn't recognize. Everything here was beautiful, but it wasn't home. His communicator buzzed with a message from Jinwoo, his best friend back on Earth. The signal had taken weeks to reach Ethros. "Hope you're having fun with the aliens," Jinwoo's recorded voice said. "Your ship is safe in dock, but I still think you're crazy. Call when you can." Taemin smiled sadly. Jinwoo had no idea how crazy things had become. Footsteps behind him announced another presence. He turned to find Lord Commander Hyun-sik approaching. "Human," the Luminary warrior said. "Lord Commander, we need to talk." The conversation with Lord Commander Hyun-sik had not gone well. Within an hour, half the royal court knew about their argument. By morning, Queen Nari had made her decision. "The situation has become untenable," she announced to the assembled court. "Taemin Kim's presence among us has created division and controversy." Taemin stood in the center of the throne room, feeling like he was on trial. Maybe he was. Therefore, the queen continued, he will undergo the trial of 3 pillars. If he succeeds, his place in our society will be secured forever. If he fails, the Veltar bond will be dissolved and he may return to his own people. Murmurs filled the chamber. Princess Hana looked worried. Lord Commander Hyun-sik appeared satisfied. "What exactly is this trial?" Taemin asked. Advisor Minho stepped forward. 3 tests that have been used for thousands of years to determine worthiness. Courage, wisdom, and honor, each pillar supports a strong life. When do I start? "Now," Queen Nari said. The first test took place in the crystal depths beneath the palace. Taemin descended through passages carved from living rock, following markers that glowed with faint light. The air grew colder as he went deeper. The trial of courage is simple, Dong-hyun had explained earlier. Reach the center chamber and retrieve an ancient crystal. But the passages are filled with traps designed by our ancestors. The first trap was a corridor that filled with poison gas when Taemin stepped into it. But the ceiling was lower than in the rest of the complex, designed for tall luminary bodies. Taemin dropped to his hands and knees and crawled under the gas cloud. The second trap was a room where the floor gave way to a deep pit. Spikes waited at the bottom. The luminari would have used their energy abilities to fly across. Taemin found loose stones and tested each section of floor carefully, finding a narrow, safe path along the walls. The third trap was more complex, a maze of mirrors that reflected false images. Luminari who relied heavily on light and visual cues would become disoriented. But Taemin closed his eyes and used his other senses. Human hearing was sharper than luminari hearing. He followed the sound of air moving through the correct passages. At the center, he found a crystal the size of his fist, pulsing with white light. When he picked it up, the entire complex shuddered and the traps deactivated. The test was complete. The second test began immediately. Taemin was brought before 3 holographic projections representing different alien species: the warlike Drakmor, the peaceful Serenians, and the merchant Kolvari. All 3 groups were in conflict over mining rights to a valuable asteroid field. "The trial of wisdom," Queen Nari explained. "You must find a solution that all 3 groups will accept. You have 1 hour." Taemin studied the situation. The Drakmor wanted the asteroid field for military purposes. The metals could be used to build weapons. The Serenians needed the rare crystals found there for their religious ceremonies. The Kolvari simply wanted to mine everything and sell it for profit. Traditional luminary diplomacy would involve long negotiations about honor and ancient rights. But Taemin saw a simpler solution. "The asteroid field is large," he said to the 3 projections. "What if we divide it into sections? The Drakmor get the metal-rich asteroids on the outer edge, perfect for defense but not offense. The Serenians get the crystal-rich inner asteroids for their temples. The Kolvari get mining rights to everything else, plus contracts to transport materials for the other 2 groups." The holographic representatives considered this. The Drakmor would accept defensive, Positions, one said. The Serenians could perform. Their ceremonies in the inner asteroids, said. Another. The Colvary profit from both mining and transport, said the third. All three agreed. The test was passed, but the final test was different. Lord Commander Hunsik stepped into the center of the throne room, wearing formal combat armor. The trial of honor, he announced. Single combat between myself and the human. Wait, Taemin said. Is this to the death? No, Queen Nari replied. First blood or until one yields. Taemin had no armor and no weapon except a simple training sword. Hunsik carried a blade of pure energy that could cut through almost anything. This isn't exactly fair, Taemin pointed out. Honor is not about fairness, Hunsik replied. It is about character. The fight began immediately. Hunsik was faster and stronger than any human could be. His energy blade left trails of light as he attacked. Taemin barely dodged the first strike. The Lord Commander fought with perfect technique, every move precise and controlled. But Taemin fought dirty. Or at least that's what it looked like to the watching Luminari. He threw sand from a decorative plant into Hunsik's eyes. He used the furniture as obstacles, forcing the taller alien to fight in close quarters. He even grabbed a ceremonial banner and used it to tangle his opponent's sword arm. Fight with honor, Hunsik demanded. I am, Taemin replied, kicking over a table to block another attack. The watching courtiers murmured in disapproval. This was not how formal combat was supposed to work. But then something unexpected happened. During one exchange, Taemin could have struck a killing blow while Hunsik was off balance. Instead, he held back and helped the Lord Commander regain his footing. Why? Hunsik asked, confused. Because this isn't about killing you, Taemin said. It's about proving something. What? That honor doesn't always look the same for different people. They continued fighting, but something had changed. Hunsik began to understand that Taemin's unusual tactics weren't about cheating, they were about using every advantage available while still fighting. Fairly, when Taemin finally managed to land a light cut on Hunsik's arm. The Lord Commander didn't seem angry. Instead, he looked thoughtful. First blood to the human, Queen Nari announced. The trial of honor is complete. The throne room fell silent. Taemin had passed all three tests, but he wasn't sure what the Luminari thought about his methods. Princess Hana was the first to speak. You fought differently than we expected. I fought like a human, Taemin replied. Yes, she said, smiling. Exactly, Queen Nari rose from her throne. Taemin Kim of Earth, you have completed the trial of 3 pillars. Your courage is proven by your success in the depths. Your wisdom is shown by finding solutions others could not see. Your honor is demonstrated by fighting fairly even when using unfamiliar methods. So I pass? You do more than pass. You show us that there are different ways to be worthy. Lord Commander Hunsik approached and offered his hand. I apologize for my earlier hostility. You have earned my respect. Taemin shook the offered hand. And you've earned mine. That evening, as the court celebrated his success, Taemin found himself alone with Princess Hana on the same balcony where he had spoken with Hunsik. The trials are over, she said. Yes. What will you do now? Taemin looked out at the floating city, then at her glowing face. I'm not sure. I don't really fit in here. Perhaps that's exactly why you should stay. Before he could answer, alarms began sounding throughout the palace. Emergency lights flashed in patterns that meant only one thing. The city was under attack. The attack came from all directions at once. Dozens of warships dropped out of hyperspace around Ethros, their weapons already firing. The beautiful floating cities became targets as explosions lit up the purple sky. Kalesh forces, Lord Commander Hunsik reported, as they rushed to the palace command center. But they're using human tactics. Through the crystal windows, Taemin could see the attacking ships. They moved in patterns he recognized from Earth Defense Force manuals. Someone who understood human military strategy was leading this assault. There, he pointed at the largest enemy vessel. That's the command ship. See how the others maintain formation around it? Classic human protection grid. Queen Nari studied the tactical displays. Our defenses are holding, but barely. They knew exactly where to strike. Someone gave them intelligence, Princess Hana said. Detailed information about our defensive systems. A spy? Advisor Minho asked. Or a traitor? Hunsik replied grimly. The palace shook as enemy fire struck the shields. Outside, Luminari fighter craft engaged the attackers in desperate aerial combat. The city's defense towers returned fire with beams of pure energy. Your Majesty, a communications officer called out. We're receiving a transmission from the enemy flagship. Put it through. The main display showed a human face, weathered, scarred, and familiar. Taemin's blood ran cold. Sung-ho, he whispered. You know him? Queen Nari asked. Former EDF colonel. He was cashiered out for war crimes 3 years ago. The scarred human on the screen smiled without warmth. Queen Nari of the Luminari, I am War Chief Seung-ho of the Kalesh Liberation Fleet. You will surrender immediately. We do not surrender to pirates, the Queen replied coldly. Then you will die with your precious alliance. But first I want to meet this famous human who has caused so much trouble. Seung-ho's eyes found Taemin on the display. Hello, Captain Kim, remember me? I remember you, Seung-ho. Still killing innocent people? Still playing hero? How refreshing. The rogue colonel's smile widened. You cost me my career, Kim, now I'll cost you your life. The transmission ended. Queen Nari turned to Taemin. What is your history with this man? He was my commanding officer during the Rigel campaign. I reported him for executing prisoners of war. The court-martial destroyed his career, and now he seeks revenge, Hyun-sik observed. It's more than that, Taemin said, studying the tactical display. Look at his approach pattern. He's not trying to destroy the city, he's trying to capture it. Why would he want to capture Ethros? Princess Hana asked. Because destroying it would make him a monster, Queen Nari said quietly. But capturing the Luminari royal family alive would make him a conqueror. The Kalesh could demand anything they wanted in exchange for our lives. The battle raged for hours. Luminari defenses held the attackers back, but barely. The enemy ships pressed closer to the floating cities with each assault wave. Our shield generators are failing, the tactical officer reported. We can't maintain this level of defense much longer. Taemin watched the battle patterns and felt pieces of a puzzle clicking together in his mind. This is wrong, he said suddenly. What do you mean? Queen Nari asked. Seung-ho is good, but he's not this good. The Kalesh ships are using advanced tactics they shouldn't know. Someone has been training them. Training them how? In combined human luminary defensive strategies. Look at how they're avoiding your energy weapons while staying out of range of human missile systems. They know exactly how our two species would fight together. Queen Nari and Princess Hana exchanged a long look. Something passed between them that Taemin didn't understand. There is something you should know, the Queen said finally. The peace treaty with humanity was never just about trade or mutual defense. What was it about? Preparation, Princess Hana said, for a threat that comes from outside our galaxy. The command center fell silent except for the sounds of battle outside. Long-range sensors have detected ships approaching from the void between galaxies, Queen Nari explained. Millions of vessels using technology we don't understand. They will arrive within 5 years. You're talking about an invasion, Taemin said. Yes. Neither humans nor Luminari can face it alone. Together we might have a chance. And the Kalesh? They refuse to believe the threat is real. They think it's a lie we created to justify expanding our alliance. Another piece clicked into place. So they're trying to stop the alliance before it can form. But how did they learn our combined tactics? War games, Advisor Minho said sadly. Secret training exercises between human and Luminari forces. Someone leaked the information? Someone in this room? Taemin asked. Someone who had access to classified data, Queen Nari confirmed. The palace shook again, more violently than before. Warning lights flashed as the outer shields failed. They're breaking through, Hyun-sik reported. Enemy troops are landing in the lower city. Evacuation protocols, Queen Nari ordered. No, Taemin said. That's what they want. If you run, they win even if they don't catch you. What do you suggest? Taemin looked at the tactical display, seeing patterns that the others missed. Give me command of the city's defenses. You're not qualified, Hyun-sik protested. I'm the only one here who knows how Seung-ho thinks. And I know his weaknesses. Queen Nari studied him for a long moment. Explain your plan. Seung-ho is overconfident. He thinks he's already won because he has superior numbers and inside information, but he's forgotten something important about humans, which is, we're really good at improvising. The Queen nodded slowly. Do it. What followed was the strangest battle in Luminari history. Under Taemin's direction, the city's defenses began using tactics that made no sense by conventional standards. Instead of concentrating fire on the strongest enemy ships, they targeted the weakest ones first. Instead of protecting the most important buildings, they abandoned them and fortified unexpected positions. Instead of following traditional formation patterns, they scattered and regrouped randomly. This is chaos, Hyunsik protested as he watched the displays. Exactly, Taemin replied. Seung-ho trained to fight against organized resistance. He doesn't know how to handle chaos. The strategy worked. Enemy forces found themselves fighting a battle they couldn't predict or control. Every time they adapted to one tactic, Taemin changed to something completely different. But the real surprise came when human ships dropped out of hyperspace, behind the enemy fleet. This is Admiral So-young of the Earth Defense Force, came a transmission. Kalesh vessels, you are in violation of interstellar law. Surrender immediately. How did they know to come here? Princess Hana asked. Queen Nari smiled. I sent a message before the attack began. It seems your people responded faster than expected. The battle turned quickly after that. Caught between Luminari defenses and human reinforcements, Seung-ho's forces were overwhelmed. The rogue colonel's ship was captured trying to flee. Later, as the debris was cleared and the wounded were treated, Taemin found himself once again on the palace balcony with Princess Hana. It's over, she said. This part is. But you said there's a bigger threat coming. Yes, the real enemy is still 5 years away. Then we'd better get ready. Hana moved closer to him. Will you help us prepare? Will you stay? Taemin looked out at the floating city, its crystal spires gleaming in the starlight. Repair crews were already working to fix the damage from the battle. In the distance, human and Luminari ships flew together in patrol formations. I'm not going anywhere, he said. Good. Because there's something else you should know. What's that? I spoke with Lord Commander Hyunsik. He has released me from our betrothal arrangement. Taemin turned to stare at her. Why would he do that? Because he said I should be free to marry for love, not duty. And what did you tell him? Hana's skin pulsed with warm blue light. I told him I already knew who I wanted to marry. Before Taemin could respond, she kissed him. Her lips were warm and tasted like starlight. When they broke apart, she smiled. Will you marry me, Taemin Kim? I thought you had to marry for political reasons. Mother has decided that a marriage between human and Luminari royalty would be the strongest possible symbol of our alliance. Your mother planned this whole thing, didn't she? The Veltar bond, the trials, even the attack. She anticipated all of it. Mother is very good at long-term strategy. Taemin laughed. I've been outmaneuvered by an alien queen. Is that a yes? He kissed her again. That's a yes. 6 months later, Taemin stood in the same throne room where he had first met Queen Nari. But this time he wore formal robes that sparkled with tiny lights. And Princess Hana stood beside him as they spoke their wedding vows. The ceremony was attended by representatives from dozens of species, including his best friend Jin Woo, who had finally made the journey from Earth. I still think you're crazy, Jin Woo whispered during the reception. Probably, Taemin agreed, but it's the good kind of crazy. Through the crystal windows, he could see human and Luminari ships training together for the challenges ahead. The alliance was growing stronger every day. The real test was still coming. Ships from beyond the galaxy, carrying an alien threat that neither species could face alone. But they would face it together, and that made all the difference. Taemin Kim had taken a beating for an alien princess. Now he would help lead 2 species into an uncertain future, united by bonds.